One of the richest sources of knowledge about man's ancient past is the art he left behind. From the earliest times, human beings have recorded their impressions on the walls of caves, on the surfaces of pottery and stone, and in the form of sculptures. But when artifacts are found which portray images of dinosaurs, are we to conclude that man and dinosaurs lived at the same time? In this program, we will investigate two of the largest and most controversial collections of artifacts ever found, which show humans interacting with dinosaurs. The Acámbaro figurines of Mexico and the Ica stones of Peru. Do these artifacts suggest that ancient artists were eyewitnesses to living dinosaurs? According to our present understanding of man's development, this is impossible. While dinosaurs flourished during the Jurassic period, they supposedly became extinct almost 65 million years before man walked the earth. The Acámbaro figurines and the Ica stones have been investigated by some scientists and labeled a hoax. Yet others feel these investigations were superficial and inconclusive. They claim the collections have been unfairly judged because of the implications of man and dinosaurs living together. As a result, both of these amazing collections of art have remained mired in confusion. Now, an independent archaeologist takes an unbiased look at these controversial artifacts and reveals the amazing story behind them. When the Spanish first arrived in Mexico 400 years ago, they encountered artistic expressions that were completely foreign to their way of thinking. Fantastic temples reached to the sky, statues and carvings so bizarre, the conquistadores believed they could only be the work of the devil. Today, in the town of Acámbaro, a collection of clay figurines continues to baffle all who gaze upon them.
The Acámbaro collection, found in Mexico in the 30s and 40s and excavated in the 50s, is an amazing subject.
It has over 33,500 individually made, not mold-made, artifacts. Well, the most spectacular and controversial aspect is the representations of apparent dinosaurs, which were presumably extinct at least 60 million years ago.
It all began 50 years ago, when an amateur archaeologist named Valdemar Julsrud unearthed a clay figurine that was unlike anything he had ever seen before. When Julsrud learned that local farmers had been finding similar statues in the area of Bull Mountain, he began to collect them. He was initially puzzled by what appeared to be Egyptian and Sumerian styles among the growing collection.
It includes representations of blacks, Orientals, Eskimo, of South American, Asiatic and African animals, of bearded white faces. It goes on and on.
The most startling artifacts in the Acámbaro collection are dozens of strange dinosaur-like figures. They are portrayed in a wide variety of interactions with humans, from people being devoured by the giant reptiles to much more intimate relationships between man and beast. To Julsrud, these images were tangible proof that man and dinosaurs lived at the same time. Independent researcher John Tierney has been tracking the Acámbaro mystery since he first saw the bizarre figurines over 40 years ago.
This Acámbaro discovery is either the greatest hoax in the entire history of science, or it is one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever made. If it's authentic, it's going to upset the orthodox concepts and timescales in many fields of study: archaeology, anthropology, zoology, history, paleontology, even psychology and religion.
For the people of Acámbaro, the story of Valdemar Julsrud and his fantastic collection has become a local legend. Over a period of 10 years, Julsrud amassed over 33,000 clay figurines.
I went to his house one day, and it was loaded. Boxes everywhere, figurines, dinosaurs, It was fantastic. I was overwhelmed.
I used to visit him with a friend from grammar school. He would always let us come in and gaze at his enormous collection, his esteemed collection as he called it. He extended an open invitation to anyone from our school to come and study the artifacts.
He led us from room to room. He was sleeping in the bathtub at the time. It was just so loaded with these artifacts.
He would always explain to us how significant the collection was, and we were so impressed by its enormous size and importance.
To his credit, Julsrud never tried to commercialize or profit from the collection, but it never attracted the serious scientific attention he felt it deserved.
In 1954, the Mexican authorities sent a team of official archaeologists, 4 members, very prominent archaeologists, to Acambro. They, at the site, mind you, at a site of their own choice, excavated scientifically samples of these Julsrud artifacts, and they agreed that they had to be authentic. But 3 weeks later, they filed a report claiming they could not have been authentic because of the fantastic representations of dinosaurs and other creatures. And that is where the situation has remained ever since.
This is something that has been largely ignored by the scientific community, simply because it's so incredible it can't be true.
The implications of this discovery are so immense that it would seem to me that anyone of education and intelligence would not rest until he found an answer to it.
Tierney's challenge was accepted by Neil Steedy, an archaeologist who has worked for the Mexican government for over 20 years.
I am what is known as a contract archaeologist. I'm not locked in to an established mindset. I've seen reports from both camps, and some people claim that no, they were artifacts that were created on the spot for him and they were sold to him, whereas other people claim no, they were found in the area and they are authentic ancient artifacts. Are these items of ancient manufacture or are they of modern manufacture? And that's what we're going to try and judge.
The first hurdle to confront Tierney and Steedy was the exact location of the fabled collection. There was a real concern that the entire collection could be lost. Town Councilman Senor Ignacio Nares recalled rumors that several old boxes of clay statues were stored in a locked room nearby. Could this be the legacy of Valdemar Julsrud? The councilman was intrigued and granted permission to investigate. Senor Nares and his colleagues had only recently been elected to office. They had never seen the entire Julsrud collection, and expectations were high. The next morning, the team was ready to enter the storeroom, but the door had been locked for years, and the key was nowhere to be found.
I'm not sure how long this door has been locked, but there are apparently several thousand or more, maybe 10,000 artifacts locked in this room behind us. Nobody's seen this whole collection, I don't know how many years.
Finally, Senor Nares gave the order to break into the storeroom. The original collection was said to contain more than 33,500 figurines.
It says here something like 42 pieces. It says how many pieces. That gives you 40, that'd be 4,000 pieces, approx. If that figure remains true, which of course you don't know.
According to rumor, many of the statues had gone missing, or were broken or stolen.
Wow. The idea today is to go through every artifact, however many there are. And if they turn out to be modern renditions, that's part of the show. What can you say?
What does that look like to you?
I've never seen one.
As the storeroom began to yield its treasures, It became clear that there were many thousands of artifacts to be examined. Neil worked methodically, categorizing the figurines by style, size, color, and subject. It would take time, but he was determined to examine each and every artifact.
I can't believe this man has walked onto the scene. He's a professional archaeologist, and he's just the type of open-minded person that we've been looking for over the years.
Here we have these two dinosaurs, which I suppose are representing a Dimodon by the fin. It's interesting, they only have two front legs. Were they done in the 1940s? If they were done in the 1940s, people knew what dinosaurs looked like, and they were a fairly common item that people were aware of, and so it would be easy to make something like this. If they date late as 1000 AD, already we have some problems, because even at 1000 AD, nobody that we know of had been digging up and putting together dinosaur skeletons, so how would they know what it looked like? Let's suppose this artifact itself actually dated 4000 BC. If it dated 4000 BC, it wouldn't be so much the human factor as our dinosaur factor we'd have to bring forward rather than pushing humans back.
Did man live at the time of the dinosaurs? I personally find that very difficult to believe myself. I'd rather believe that some dinosaurs lived to a much later stage than we believe today.
What I want to know is what the truth is, and give us a scientific basis to be able to substantiate that truth.
Even with the help of volunteers, it would take 4 days to examine and categorize every statue in the storeroom.
We've now cleaned out the aisle, and it looks like, well, we've got light in here now too. We've got about 50. Oh man, look at this. They didn't tell me this. There's a whole nother door here. Oh man, there's a whole room here.
Halfway through the investigation, Neil and his team had examined over 10,000 individual statues. He was beginning to form an opinion as to the authenticity of the figurines.
I'm having some great doubts about the large part of the collection. I'll give you a quick example. This pot was made out of a piece of clay, which they formed the bowl, and then they had a stem sticking up here, and a knife was taken and cut 4 ways to create these legs. As we examine the sides of the cut, you can see where grains of sand were dug along, pushed by the instrument that did the cutting. That means that you had to have something that was rigid enough, such as a very hard plastic or, in fact, a metal, which would imply the civilization that did this had metal. And it's those types of things that are bringing up questions.
As Neil's doubts grew, the two investigators began to differ in opinion.
Even though I respect Neil's work, I'm going my own way. Neil is going his way. These artifacts could have been made by as many as a half a dozen different cultures, in different places at different times, for different reasons, by different methods.
There is a civilization in the area known as Chipiquaro civilization, which flourished in pre-Columbian times, in fact, before Christ. And we are finding some artifacts are of that civilization. But there seems to be a whole nother style of artifacts that are the ones that everyone has been questioning. As we look among the questionable artifacts, there is this. It all comes, apparently, from one deposit, clay deposit. Okay, what I'm trying to do here, look for a piece of carbon.
To obtain the age of the artifacts, Neil took small samples from 2 specimens, a primitive face and a figure resembling a dinosaur. These samples would be carbon dated by a professional laboratory when he returned to the United States.
That's going to be all I need if I can get it.
The next test would be to try to find a figurine actually buried in the ground. According to the reports gathered by Tierney and others, the majority of the collection had been unearthed along the base of Cerro Toro, or Bull Mountain. They were buried in shallow pits in groups of about 20 to 40. It was said you could find them almost anywhere along the foot of the mountain. Neil consulted a map of the area and calculated the chances of finding new Acambaro figurines in unexplored soil. With the permission of Senor Nares, the team initiated an archaeological dig.
If we move this much earth, we have an 80% chance, just the statistics, of finding the same kind of artifacts they had. We're going to find, I suspect, all sorts of different stuff. But if we do that much, we can say, hey, the statistics tell 80% chance. That's darn good chances. Anybody take it in Las Vegas.
Before long, pieces of clay statues began to appear.
These two seem to be pot handles or legs, are similar in structure as to size and structure of a lot of those animals. There's the possibility that, in fact, they're related. What we have to demonstrate is, are they the same type of pottery or not? Do they date the same or not?
The team worked methodically, digging and sifting down through the stratified layers of earth, looking for remnants of previous cultures.
Once we set up the stratification, that we can compare it with the other side where the machines are dug, then we'll have a point of comparison.
Look at these ones.
Uh-oh. It looks like we found something similar to his stuff.
We found a small artifact which looked very similar to some of the stuff that was in the Jules Road collection. It does fit the collection. However, it fits the non-controversial part of the collection, not the controversial part, which is the dinosaur-like figures.
After several hours, the team had excavated some interesting artifacts. But none of them, according to Neil, resembled the controversial artifacts in Julesrud's collection.
I think we feel that they're digging in the wrong place.
I would say that it's a wrong spot to begin with. However, I say let Neil Speed be Neil Speed. He's very adept at his business. He has his own reasons for choosing the site. I, however, would have gone directly to the old site and cast around in two spots that we have reason to believe could be more valuable initially.
In the 1970s, several compelling artifacts turned up in a very unusual location. Julesrud's writings had attracted the attention of a pair of unlikely investigators, Professor of Anthropology Charles Hapgood and Earl Stanley Gardner, creator of the courtroom hero Perry Mason. Hapgood reasoned that since the foundations of the houses on Bull Mountain were erected on unbroken ground, no one could claim statues found under them could have been planted there.
There were claims made that these were being made modernly. So in '55, Hapgood demonstrated that he could take them out from under a house that had been built 25 years previously.
While dining in the home of Acambaro's chief of police, Hapgood mentioned rumors that statues could be found by digging almost anywhere in the area. He convinced his host to let him dig a hole in the hard-packed dirt floor of his home.
He tore a hole in the cement floor of the house and dug down, I don't know how far, and eventually came up with some pretty good pieces.
I tend to believe that if Charles Hapgood in 1955 excavated these objects through the concrete hard floor of a house, that other houses along there must have had the same capabilities of producing that sort of a find.
Neil was willing to give it a try.
We're riding all over the old site right now.
Is that right? So this may have been where they dug them up?
Yeah, originally there was a ditch, a rotted ditch that ran down here, and Julesrud was riding his horse down when he discovered the first figurine.
In an attempt to replicate Hapgood's experiment, the team located a suitable house within a block of the police chief's. The trick would be to convince the homeowner to let them dig.
We were trying to replicate what Hapgood did quite a few years ago. And we went down 4.5, maybe a little bit more, feet.
No one else has ever excavated here.
The statistics read to us that in this large of a space, which is 6 foot by 4 foot or 3 foot wide, we should have found at least 3 figurines. We found several bags of shards, which we will analyze, but we found no figurines whatsoever, which of course is quite disappointing in relationship to the collection that we're studying. And I would say that the thing that we need to do at this time is analyze what we have and take it from there. It looks as though it isn't going to fit in with the stories that we've been told about the collection we're studying.
It wasn't a spot I would have selected myself. I would have continued to dig on the site directly above the present level of the houses constructed there today. And that's a little far afield. We don't know how far the objects were before.
The house dig was within 100 feet of where Hapgood had done his house dig and found his evidence.
Now we leave these people with this huge hole in their patio, which we've tried to convince them to convert to a swimming pool now that it's there, but they've asked us to go ahead and fill it back in, so that we'll start doing.
John did suggest that we dig farther up the apron at Bull Mountain. The reason I chose not to is because observing the area where he wanted to dig, the soil at the most was 1 foot to 2 feet deep, and it was mostly made up of large rocks, 6 to 8 inches, which would have long since pulverized any type of figurines which would have been under them.
For Neil, the last piece of the puzzle would fall into place when he received the laboratory analysis of his samples. Meanwhile, the investigation rekindled a 40-year-old debate.
There are many unanswered questions about this collection. Most importantly, who could possibly have manufactured more than 33,000 figurines?
There was this man named Odilon Tinajero, and he was the one, with his family and other artisans, who began making these clay figurines. Funny as it sounds, he saw a series of pictures on boxes of matches that were popular during that time, the early 40s, and he copied them, copied pictures of dinosaurs and other extinct animals.
Absolutely impossible. It would take a scholar, along with a huge amount of people, to turn these out and turn them out so well.
They say that it would take thousands of years to create so many pieces, but that's not true. Here, the craftsmen can make up to 100, even 500 a day.
That's a ridiculous claim that they could have been made at the rate of 500 a day.
Several months later, Neil received the test results from the lab. The human face was carbon dated at 4,000 years old, close to what Neil expected from a pre-Columbian artifact. However, the dinosaur-like figurine was dated at 1,500 years old. Rather than solve the mystery, these test results only added fuel to the controversy.
When we dated the dinosaur-like figure, the idea was to hopefully obtain some of the filler material, such as straw, that is used many times within such a figurine to strengthen it. Now, within the clay deposits itself are organic materials that were there since the time of the formation of the clay deposit. I believe what we obtained was the date of the clay, rather than date of filler material.
Steedy wants it both ways. If the carbon-14 test shows that they're old, he's got to find some out.
The field observations, I find a figurine that would not have lasted in the soil 1,500 years. It is a very soft, baked figurine. It is very crumbly. I don't think it would have lasted 20 years in the soil. All that contradiction tells me that the laboratory test has not given us a true reading of the age of the figurine in question.
There was no possible way scientifically that he could have visually determined that the Jules Verne controversial type had been made since the turn of the century. I really have reached the point where I have to say that Neil Steedy seems to be the Inspector Clouseau of modern archaeology.
Today, the Acambaro figurines are on display for anyone to see.
The imagination of artisans in Acambaro is extremely vivid. If you're going to study these figurines, just look at them as part of Mexican culture and nothing else.
It's a world-class discovery and a world-class scientific scandal. Let's see what happens from here on.
Peru. rich with mysterious landscapes, ancient ruins, and unanswered questions. 100-ton blocks of granite fitted together with the precision of a jigsaw puzzle suggest a technological capability far beyond our understanding. Megalithic temples perched atop the Andes Mountains evoke images of another world. The Nazca lines crisscross the desert for 20 miles with the accuracy of a laser. Gigantic figures are made of one continuous line, as if drawn from the air by the finger of a god. Some feel the mysteries of Peru are merely the work of indigenous cultures. But one man insists they are evidence of a technologically advanced civilization that flourished millions of years ago. He claims he has the proof of their existence. In 1966, in the nearby town of Ica, Dr. Javier Cabrera began a collection of extraordinary engraved stones. Carved on these stones are images that seem impossible. Skilled surgeons performing a complex heart transplant, using acupuncture. Ancient pilots hovering above the ground, in a flying machine. Astronomers gazing at the stars through what appear to be telescopes. According to Dr. Cabrera, these inscribed stones are records of an ancient culture which was far more scientifically advanced than any we have ever imagined.
I thought it was really far out and completely loopy and cranky, but the photographs caught my eye. I was profoundly attracted to them, very interested, and at the same time very challenged. So I call it an intellectual shock. I've even called it an intellectual cataclysm because it challenged my training, basically.
Dr. Cabrera calls these 11,000 artifacts a library in stone.
They seem to be pregnant with knowledge and meaning, but what was their meaning? I was completely at loss.
While the level of technology recorded on the stones has stirred much controversy, vivid portrayals of dinosaurs are even more disturbing. Many of the stones accurately depict Brontosaurus, Stegosaurus, Tyrannosaurus rex, and flying pterodactyls. How can this be? According to Dr. Cabrera, these ancient scientists knew how to kill the giant reptiles. Dinosaurs had two major nerve centers, the brain and the pelvic ganglion. If either were disabled, the giant could be brought down. Images on the Ica stone show men attacking one or the other nerve center with hand axes.
Because the engravings on these stones show scenes of the universe and planet Earth, with the continents in significantly different positions on the globe, and also show plants and animals that are considered extinct today, including dinosaurs, we are forced to admit that the beings depicted in these stones lived millions and millions of years ago, far before man was supposed to have existed.
From a geologist's point of view, there is at least a 60 million year gap in history between the demise of the dinosaurs and the appearance of man, or at least Homo sapiens sapiens as we know it. So it would be an enormous review, a revolution in scientific thinking to postulate that they might have coexisted.
For years, Dr. Cabrera has extended an open invitation to the scientific community in the hopes that the Ica stones would be validated. Many scientists are aware of the Ica stones, but most refuse to investigate them.
Present-day man, scientific man, believe that the humanity of the 20th century is the pinnacle of civilization. It is very hard for them to imagine that, in the past, there were beings with more knowledge and more intelligence, much greater beings than today's humans.
It polarizes people, either utter disbelief, and people say it's impossible, it's not real, or total fascination. Very rarely can someone just look at them dispassionately.
Sofia Maleska, a geomorphologist, was sponsored by the Institute of Noetic Sciences to conduct a preliminary study of the Ica stones.
My wish is that archaeologists, both in Peru and abroad, would take the problem seriously enough to examine it in a fresh way, unsullied by all the controversy and the polemic.
Neil Steedy, intrigued by Maleska's report, decided to visit the collection himself.
I love dinosaurs. I would love to believe that man lived with dinosaurs. I'd love to believe that somebody actually could have a pet brontosaurus, or the whole story that we see in Jurassic Park. I mean, what an adventure. I would love to believe that.
The story began when a friend gave Dr. Cabrera a stone for his birthday. On it was inscribed the image of a fish. Because of his training as a medical doctor, Dr. Cabrera recognized the fish as a prehistoric species which has long been extinct. He wondered who could have made the inscription.
The collection itself is unusual in that you have themes that are not portrayed in other similar collections. There is no civilization that I know of which shows brain transplants, stomach transplants, complete blood transfusions, and so forth.
In this series of stones, according to Dr. Cabrera, we see details of an advanced surgical procedure, a heart transplant. In the first stone, a pregnant woman is reclining with a tube attached to her arm. This tube is removing blood, which is passed to a small bottle. The bubbles indicate that a chemical exchange is taking place. According to Dr. Cabrera, a hormone is being filtered out and the blood returned to the patient. This hormone, which only pregnant women have, is an anti-rejection hormone, which naturally prevents the fetus from being rejected. In the last stone of the series, the new heart is irrigated with this hormone and surgically placed into the recipient.
It is obvious that these beings were depicting the many technological feats they had achieved, such as the unusual flying machines shown on some of these stones.
In these stones, ancient pilots are riding in a craft which resembles a bird. In some drawings, these flying machines are hovering over dinosaurs, while the co-pilot seems to be observing the heavens through a telescope. In many of the Ica stones, men seem to be gazing at stars and comets. Dr. Cabrera believes that they were recording the comet which crashed to Earth and caused the extinction of the dinosaurs.
They do have a similar art style, which makes them look like they all should be grouped together.
After collecting and studying these amazing artifacts for almost 30 years, Dr. Cabrera has a fascinating interpretation of what this ancient library means.
You can see by the very large brain capacity of the beings depicted in these stones that they had far greater cognitive ability than we do today. Present-day man, who thinks he discovered all knowledge, is not as intelligent as the man that appears on these stones. These stones carry a message, a fundamental message left by an advanced race of humans that preceded our own by millions of years. They themselves faced a catastrophic demise, and they told their story the only way they could, by inscribing images of their world on stones, teaching the next human race how to live in and take care of this universe.
The problem with the reasoning that Dr. Cabrera uses is that he says, the message reads as such, this proves that it is authentic. And the problem with that is there is no scientific reasoning there. What we are looking to judge at this moment is the antiquity of the stones. The reading will make no difference as far as proving the antiquity.
Proving the age of the Ica stones is more difficult than one might assume. There is no scientific test that can accurately date when a stone was carved.
If you date the stone itself, what are you dating? The age of the stone. The stone could have been made 20 million years ago, and so the stone will date 20 million years old. So what we are more interested in is the patina that covers the stone. The patina will be the oxidation or the aging that sometimes made up of algae and not just oxidation, which appears on the surface of the stone.
The proof of antiquity is elementary. I did laboratory tests at the University of Lima, the University of Bonn in Germany, and I also sent samples to Joseph E. Blumrich of NASA. All came to the conclusion that the engravings in these stones are covered with an ancient patina, which proves categorically that the stones are ancient.
If we have a stone that has this patina and you etch something into it, as is done on the Cabrera stones, that patina is broken on the surface and it is not down in the grooves of the etching.
You can pick any stone you want and do whatever analysis you want on it.
Neil took 2 of the stones for further study.
Oh, these are the samples?
Although there were many artifacts to examine, the most important element in determining their age was missing: the context in which the artifacts were found.
The river Ica, several years ago, flooded its banks and washed away a new area, opening the mouth of a cave that no one had ever seen. Some of the treasure hunters of Ocucaje discovered the cave, and when they went inside, they found thousands of these strange engraved stones. They brought the stones to Ica, and the people of Ica thought, they're not real, they're not authentic. They were made by the farmers.
Dr. Cabrera has stated that there was a cave, and in fact that he has been to the cave. He described the interior of the cave and the contents of the cave. Therefore, it has become a very real cave in our discussions. However, what is the evidence of the cave? The only evidence of the cave are not photographs, are not maps, are not pictures, are not drawings. It's Dr. Cabrera's word.
Despite Neil's numerous requests to see the cave for himself, Dr. Cabrera refused to reveal its whereabouts.
I sincerely hope that no one reveals the location of the cave. I hope with all my soul that it's not found by people looking merely for archaeological treasures. This would be a great mistake. We would lose all the marvelous material that is there now. It would be dispersed around the world, and the sense of the messages on these stones would be lost.
Dr. Cabrera is understandably very cautious about it, and I think he's right, because only when a team of archaeologists, Peruvian and possibly American or an international team anyway, is ready to go there to check it out, should that be done, because otherwise too much vandalism would ensue, and then it would cover all the scientific data that might come from a pure find.
The desert town of Ocucaje has long been known for the grave robbers, or huacaros, who live there. Neil reasoned that if huacaros had originally found the cave, maybe they could help. Rumor had it that someone had unearthed a new cache of Ica stones from an ancient burial site in the area. A midnight meeting was arranged. The huacaros claimed the stones were found beneath the decaying remains of a mummy, suggesting they could be at least hundreds of years old. But once again, the context of these artifacts could not be verified. Grave robbers rarely admit the source of their discoveries for fear of arrest.
I need some type of hard evidence. We have the artifacts out of context. Not knowing how they were placed in context originally, that is, all the surrounding things that should be with them, then we don't have any idea what goes with them. So we have to judge the artifacts by themselves. So to say they're found in a cave is irrelevant. It doesn't matter where they're found, they're now out of a cave, out of context.
At the museum in Ica, many remnants of ancient cultures are on display, but noticeably missing from their shelves are inscribed stones. Neil learned why from Peruvian archaeologist Fernando Herrera. The inscribed stones in the museum are kept away from public view because of the controversy surrounding Dr. Cabrera's Ica stones. Mr. Herrera offered a rare glimpse of these controversial artifacts to his fellow scientists.
The authentic stones found in Inca tombs are much lighter and have quite a different flavor to them than do the stones that are in Dr. Cabrera's collection. True, they portray for the most part domestic animals, well, and some non-domestic animals of the area, but the style on it is they have a lot finer workmanship on them, and the cuts aren't nearly as deep or as brusque as they are on the Cabrera stones.
My view is that we have again a very complex picture of a core of ancient stones created by a very sophisticated ancient culture. And then layers upon layers, like cultural stratas of other cultures who just copied what the ancient peoples did, or developed it their own ways, and up to quite recently.
The investigation seemed to be at an impasse. If no one would reveal the location of the cave, perhaps there was another road to take. Neil's path led to the door of Basilio Achuya.
We took these two stones to one of the people that claims to have fabricated the stones for Dr. Cabrera. And by surprise, we showed them and said, "Do you recognize these?" He goes, "Oh yeah, I did those about 10 years ago," among a series of them. And when asking them to describe other stones that he did at that time period, he described the stones that were on either side, above and below these same artifacts.
For a long time I was working in the fields, and it was a lot of hard work. When I first saw some of these ceramic pieces of the ancients, I started copying them to sell. Then I saw that it could be done in stone also, so I started looking for soft stones that I could carve on fairly easily. Doing that was much easier than working in the fields. I've brought Dr. Cabrera about 11,000 stones, but he also has some real ones.
Do you have any idea how many?
I don't know, maybe about 5,000.
After speaking to several people in Okukahe, we find that we have quite a few artisans who are claiming to have done many of the major stones, and in fact, as a summation, all of the stones that are in Dr. Cabrera's collection.
Dr. Cabrera admits that many of the stones have been faked to sell to tourists. However, he maintains that all the stones in his collection are real.
If any fake stones exist today, it is only a recent occurrence. It is only now that they have become famous, now that the whole world, including people of all disciplines, have learned what is inscribed on these stones. But I can easily tell which are real and which are copies by how they are engraved. The engravings on a recent stone, a fake stone, they don't have the patina in the grooves of the stone. This allows us to tell whether the stone is ancient or recent.
From what we were told in the field, Dr. Cabrera himself brought drawings out to people and said, "This is the drawing I want on the stones."
Dr. Cabrera doesn't know the origin of the stones I bring him. He doesn't know I'm making them myself.
The whole thing calls for great caution, because one has to differentiate very carefully between the core of ancient stones and the modern curios that are being done for tourists, basically.
The question with the Cabrera stones, of course, is that it has what appears to be a patina on all the outside, except the bottom of the grooves of the carved grooves on each stone. It should have aged fairly evenly, and it hasn't.
For myself, I'm not sorry that I've chosen this difficult path, but I realize that by taking this path, I've brought suffering upon my family. I have hurt them. But when a man comes to hold a certain conviction of the truth he has discovered, he must defend it. Defend it even to the death, if necessary. Mine wouldn't be the only case in history, the case of Javier Cabrera. There are many, many parallels throughout the history of science. It is true, of course, that I can be judged as a man who preferred science to his own children. But I know that there will be a day when my children's pain will turn to happiness. You can never have such happiness if you haven't gone through the pain of defending the truth.
I'd buy that if you can show me the evidence. You can tie me up so that I can take no notes. You can blindfold me. You can hold me at gunpoint all the way there. Take as long as you want to get there.
so that I can't remember which turns as I'm blindfolded or whatever. I will put my life in your hands. And then when we get there, you undo my eyes, I take some pictures, and then I leave immediately and I will analyze the pictures. But that couldn't be done. Why couldn't it be done? I never got a good answer. Of course, I think the obvious answer, and I have come to believe the obvious answer, is that there is no cave.
Until we go back to the source, the origin of the Ica stones, we won't ever know for sure. And I feel that the scientific establishment need to take them seriously enough to mount an expedition and go there.
The Acambaro figurines are said to have been found at the foot of a mountain, and the Ica stones found in a cave. Their sources may never be revealed, and the authenticity of these collections never proven. But if anomalous evidence is simply ignored, valuable knowledge about the history of man may be lost forever.
Very recently, I was speaking to a couple of colleagues at a convention, and the colleagues were asking, why would anyone waste their time doing this type of stuff? And the answer to those colleagues simply is, because you won't. Someone needs to. Someone needs to be not afraid to go into the stuff that is controversial. And to my colleagues, I'd like to say, don't be afraid. It doesn't hurt.